There is a man most people have never heard of who is probably more responsible for your financial situation right now than anyone else in history. His name was Edward Bernays, Sigmund Freud's nephew. And in the 1920s, he invented something he called the engineering of consent, which he described as the ability to control and regiment the masses according to our will without their knowing about it. He wasn't a politician, he was a corporate consultant. Here is what he actually did. The American Tobacco Company hired him in the 1920s because women weren't smoking in public. That was a whole market they couldn't reach. So Bernays didn't advertise cigarettes. He hired women to march in the Easter Parade in New York City smoking cigarettes and told the press they were carrying torches of freedom. The New York Times ran it on the front page. Women's smoking rates shot up. He didn't sell a product, he sold an identity. Then the Beech Nut Packing Company hired him to sell bacon. Americans were eating light breakfasts, rolls, coffee, not enough bacon moving. So Bernays contacted 4,500 doctors and got them to sign a statement saying a hearty protein breakfast was healthier than a light one. Newspapers ran it nationwide as medical advice. Bacon and eggs became America's breakfast. That was not a health recommendation. That was a paid corporate campaign disguised as science. He called himself part of what he described as an invisible government, shaping what people wanted before they even knew they wanted it. Then World War II ends, and something important happens. The factories that spent years building tanks and weapons now need a new customer. So they retool. They start producing refrigerators, washing machines, televisions, and cars. Between 1945 and 1955, the number of cars on American roads doubled. Americans were buying 5 million television sets per year. And between 1950 and 1970, American corporations tripled their total advertising spending. They used Bernays' playbook at industrial scale, beaming desire directly into living rooms through that television set you just bought. And here is the critical piece that almost nobody talks about. An American engineer named Charles Kettering, head of research at General Motors, wrote an essay during this period where he said that the goal of business was to keep the consumer dissatisfied. His exact argument was that a satisfied customer stops buying. So the entire system was deliberately engineered to make sure you never felt like you had enough. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is a documented corporate strategy from the people who built it. Now look at where that strategy landed us. Total American credit card debt right now stands at $1.28 trillion. The average American is carrying $6,715 in credit card debt at an interest rate of 21.5%. The personal savings rate just collapsed to 4%, down from 6.2% just 2 years ago. And the number that should genuinely stop you in your tracks, 42% of Americans believe they will carry credit card debt for the rest of their lives. They are not broke because they are lazy. They are not broke because they are bad with money. They are operating inside a system that was specifically, deliberately, and professionally designed starting over 100 years ago to make sure they stay in motion, stay in debt, and stay dissatisfied enough to keep spending. Bernays called it engineering consent. Kettering called it keeping the consumer dissatisfied. The credit card company calls it your minimum monthly payment. The question is what you are going to call it.